Vectors mind map revision. Okay, so let's begin with vectors and its representation. Okay, so basically, vectors are those physical quantities which have magnitude and direction. So they have magnitude and they even have direction. Okay, and they follow the law of vector addition. Okay, next we have a vector which is its representation. It's represented like this. So this is the tail part and this is the head part, and this whole length is basically the length which is the length of this particular arrow, which is equals to the magnitude. Okay, now there are different types of vectors. Particularly, we have equal vectors, parallel vectors, anti-parallel vectors, and so on. So equal vectors are the one two vectors are said to be equal when they have same magnitude, same direction, and same physical quantity. Suppose this is force, this is F2, this is F1. So these are examples of two equal vectors, same magnitude, same direction, and same physical quantities. Parallel vectors just have the same parallel, the magnitude and physical quantities may or may not be different. Okay, so these are two parallel vectors. Anti-parallel vector would be just like this. They also may differ in magnitude and physical quantity. Now, important point to note that all equal vectors are parallel vectors, but all parallel vectors are not equal. Supposingly this is a parallel vector, so this is also, this is an equal vector, so obviously this is parallel to each other, but this is also parallel vector, but this is not equal to this vector. Next we have negative of a vector. The magnitude is same. Supposingly this is a vector and this is another vector. The magnitude is same but the direction is opposite and the physical quantity is also same. Supposingly this is force F1 and this is force F2. Force F1 is this one and this is F2. So basically we see that the magnitude here is same but here the direction changes. Okay, next we have coplanar vectors, means vectors along the same plane. Supposingly this is a plane, so vectors along this same plane are coplanar vectors. Collinear vectors are the vectors along same line. Okay, concurrent vectors, vectors which meet at a point. This is an example of concurrent vectors coming together and meeting at a point. Co-initial vectors starting from a point. This is example of co-initial vectors. Orthogonal vectors, vectors perpendicular to each other. Okay, next, null or zero vector. The magnitude of the vector is 0. So magnitude of this vector is equals to 0. Axial vector along the same axis. So this is axial vector. Supposingly this is axis x, along the same axis there's vectors. Okay, next we have unit vector, a vector having magnitude. Supposingly a vector A having magnitude unity means 1 in a particular direction. It is unitless and dimensionless. So A cap is equals to A vector by mod of A or magnitude of A vector. Next we have parallel shifting of vectors, that is a vector can be parallelly shifted or slided anywhere in space if a vector, so parallel shifting of vectors, if a vector is turned then the vector changes. So this is a vector, it can be moved so on like this. If this is here, okay, let me explain you in a better way. Supposingly this is a vector, so this vector can be taken and can be put here, can be put here, can be put here. So it can be, but if this vector, if this particular vector is reversed, okay, what it will become, see. So if this particular vector is becoming like this, if it is turned. Okay, this is turned, then the vector changes. Next we have multiplication of vector. If a vector is multiplied by 3, then the vector, supposing there is a vector a which is multiplied by 3, then its magnitude becomes 3 times. Supposingly its magnitude of vector a was 1, now it will become 3. Okay, because it becomes 3 times. But if it is multiplied by -3, then the magnitude is same but direction is opposite. So supposingly this is a vector. Okay, this is very big. So this is a vector a. 3a would be this, but -3a would be this, but the magnitude will be same, 3a. Okay, next we have angle between two vectors. Supposing this is a vector a, this is vector c, and this is vector b. Okay, now a vector, b vector, and c vector. This is supposingly 60 degree, this is 40 degree, and this is 80 degree. Okay, this makes an 180 degree. Now angle is always taken between tail or head. Okay, so if we see in this particular diagram, the angle between a and b vector is 100 it's 80 degree. It's given the angle between a and c vector is 60 degree, but the angle between b and c vector is how much? Okay, so what we can do is we can see this is the b vector, so we can shift this c vector. Now we knew that this angle is 40 degree, so this is 180 minus 40, which is equals to 140 degree angle between b vector and c vector. Next we have triangle law of vector addition. Supposingly this is a vector a, this is vector b, so here the resultant will be vector c. Now c a vector plus b vector is equals to c vector, obviously, so we can simply write it as a, b and c are in magnitude and it is positive, so resultant c here is equals to root over of a square plus b square plus 2ab cos theta. Theta is the angle between a vector and b vector. Okay, so as I already showed you in this diagram, supposingly this is alpha, so we can write tan alpha is equals to b sin theta by a plus b cos theta by a plus b cos theta. Okay, so tan alpha here, tan alpha is equals to b sin theta by a plus b cos theta. Next, if the resultant, supposing this is a vector, this is b vector, okay, and we have the resultant as the c vector. This is c vector, not accurate diagram done. Wait, so this is b vector. Wait one second. This is b vector, this is a vector, so this is c vector. Okay, this is c vector, this is b vector, and this is a vector. Here there is 90 degree making. Now this is 90 degree where a and b is perpendicular to c. The resultant is perpendicular to c, means c is perpendicular to a vector. Okay, next, if two vectors have same magnitude, means the magnitude is equals to x, supposingly they have same magnitude. Okay, so what would happen, supposingly the resultant c, if it makes an angle of theta is equals to 0 degree, which is the vector would become 2x. If it makes 90 degree, the vector would become x root 2. If it makes an angle 60 degree, the vector would become x root 3. If it would make an angle theta of 120 degree, it would become x. If it makes a theta of 180 degree, it would become 0. How I am doing this? You have to just simply put as x, because we are taking the magnitude of the x, so x square plus 2ab, supposedly we do for cos 0 degree, which is cos 0 degree, this whole root over, basically this is equals to 2x square, this is equals to plus 2x square, because cos 0 degree is equals to 1, that will become 4x square, and root over of this is 2x. As you can see, the root over is 2x, as I already told you before that for 0 degree it would be 2x. Okay, simply you can calculate like that. Next, we have an important thing, that is C maximum and C minimum, when the resultant is maximum and when it is minimum. Now C is maximum, okay, which is equals to a plus b when theta is equals to 0 degree, because cos 0 degree is 1, and it is minimum when theta is equals to 180 degree, which is equals to cos 180 is minus 1. Now C always lies between a plus b magnitude and a minus b vector magnitude. Next, we have subtraction of two vectors, which is basically we are subtracting one vector from the another vector. So supposingly this is vector a, this is vector b. Okay, wait, let me draw it again. Okay, so this is vector a, this is vector b, and supposingly here there is theta angle, so this would become 180 minus theta. So we can write as a minus b vector is equals to a vector plus minus b vector, which we can write it as d vector. Okay, so d vector's magnitude can be written as a square plus b square plus 2ab cos 180 minus theta 180, wait, cos 180 minus theta, okay, which is equals to cos 180 degree minus theta. Now what the theta is the angle. It would become eventually what it would become, this will become cos theta, see, this will become cos theta minus 2ab, because cos 180 minus theta is minus cos theta. Okay, see, this is basically the whole subtraction of vector. Now this is vector a, and this is very important to know, this is minus of vector b. Plus of vector b is like this. Okay, this is plus of vector b, but we have turned it, so it is minus of vector b. Now here tan alpha will be same b sin theta by a minus b cos theta, there it was plus b cos theta. Okay, next we have the polygon law, which is also important to understand. Supposingly this is vector a, vector b, vector c, so this is the resultant vector r, so this vector r is equal to these three vectors addition. Now supposingly this is vector a, b, c, d. Now on adding this, it will become a null vector or a zero vector. Next we have parallelogram of vector addition. Supposingly this is vector b and this is vector a, so this is vector a and this is vector b. So what we normally do, we just make the resultant, which is like this. So the resultant here would be a vector c. Now if we do a b minus a, supposingly that would come vector d, so this is the vector d. So what we can write simply, c vector, as you already write that a plus b vector and d vector we can see in the diagram, is equals to b vector minus a vector. Okay, supposingly this is a vector and this is b vector, so this will become the c vector, which is approximately equal. This is the equal, you can just see this as equal. It's equal to this vector. Supposingly this is a vector, this is b vector, and this is c vector. Here it's making beta and here this is making alpha angle. So see what we did, we see that here there is b, we just parallelly shifted, what we did, this is supposingly b, we just parallelly shifted this b here. Okay, let me bring that b back, this b come here. Okay, leave it. So we just parallelly shifted the b, and then the c is obviously in between both of these. Now if alpha is greater than beta, then alpha is greater than beta, then obviously a would be less than b, and if alpha is less than beta, then a would be greater than b, and if both are equal, then a would be equal to b. Two equal vector resultant or magnitude vectors resultant is in the middle of both vectors. Supposingly this is one vector and this is one vector, this is equal, so in the middle of these two vectors, making an angle of 45 degree and 45 degree both. Simple. Now mod of a vector if is equal to mod of b vector, which is equal to x, equal magnitude, angle between them is theta. If we take out a plus b vector, that would become 2x cos theta by 2, and a minus b vector both in magnitudes, which will become 2x sine theta by 2. Next we have unit vector, which I already explained you, but one important thing to note is this is the x-axis, which you all know. This is the y-axis, and this is the z-axis. Next we have the position vector, which is basically xy graph. I'm taking x, here y. Supposingly this is RA and here are some coordinates. Supposingly it's 2, 3, 4, the simplest one I am taking. So RA would become what? 2i cap plus 3j cap plus 4k cap. Okay. If we take another vector from here, RB, so this would become RB with respect to A, okay, which is equals to RB minus RA. So simply we can write RB with respect to A is equals to R minus of R, minus of RA with respect to B vector. R is basically the position vector. Okay, next we have magnitude of a vector. Supposingly A is same 2i cap plus 3j cap plus 4k cap. The magnitude of A vector is how much? It's root over of 2 square plus 3 square plus 4 square. It's equals to root over of 29. Now magnitude is always positive. You have to remember this. Even if there is here, supposingly this is 5, this is supposingly minus 5, 4 cap, will be same answer only. Next we have component of vectors, which is very important to know the components of vectors. Supposingly there is an xy plane. Okay, wait, xy plane, this is x, this is y. Then we see this is supposingly a vector A and this is theta. So where there is theta, there is only here. Let me change the color for help you to understand better. Okay, now see, this is basically a x vector and here there would be a y vector, or you can also do this as here a y vector. Okay, so this is supposingly like this. So this is a vector, this is making theta, so this would become ax and this would become a y vector wise. Okay, so we see that ax So sorry for the glitch. Okay, so ax plus ay vector is equal to a vector. So a vector is ax plus ay. Ax is component of a along x and ay is component of a along y. We can simply write that a vector is equals to a cos theta I cap plus a sin theta j cap. Cos theta, as we can see in the, is base by hypotenuse, and sin theta is perpendicular by base. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट टू नोट इज जिस लाइन में थीटा होता है उस तरफ कॉस थीटा होता है, उसके परपेंडिकुलर साइन थीटा होता है, और उनके बीच में जो वेक्टर आएगा वो होगा हमारा रिजल्ट, वो होगा हमारा वेक्टर. सपोजिंगली ये फिर से बना के दिखा रही हूँ, ये एक वेक्टर है ए वेक्टर, ये एक एंगल थीटा बना रहा है, तो जिधर थीटा उधर आ जाएगा कॉस थीटा, ए कॉस थीटा ऑब्वियसली जो वेक्टर है, और इधर आ जाएगा ए साइन थीटा. ठीक है, अगर ये वेक्टर उसी एक्सिस पर है तो उसका कंपोनेंट ब्रेक नहीं होगा. सपोजिंगली ये नहीं, ये सही नहीं होगा. ये देखो, ये एक्स एक्सिस, ये वाई एक्सिस, सपोजिंगली एक वेक्टर ए है यहाँ पे, ये वेक्टर, तो इसका कोई भी कंपोनेंट नहीं होगा. ठीक है, स्टार्टिंग के दो वेक्टर्स के मैग्नीट्यूड से उनके मैक्सिमम और मिनिमम वैल्यू को निकाल के देखना है कि थर्ड जो वेक्टर है इन दोनों वैल्यू के बीच में आ रहा है या भी नहीं, और अगर इनका जो रिजल्टेंट है वो ज़ीरो पॉसिबल है या नहीं. सपोजिंगली मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ F1 माइनस F2, अगर हम फोर्स को लें, इनका मैग्नीट्यूड इज़ लेस देन इक्वल टू F3, विच इज़ F3 से ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू इज मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ F1 माइनस F2, एंड इट इज़ लेस देन इक्वल टू F1 प्लस F2 का मैग्नीट्यूड. ठीक है, जैसे मैंने बताया था रिजल्टेंट वेक्टर का. अब हम पता करेंगे कि डायरेक्शन कोसाइंस क्या होता है. ये बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड लगता है पर ये है नहीं. सिंपली देखो, ये है एक्स वाई जेड सेम. ठीक है, ये तो याद ही हो गया होगा सबको. सो इफ़ ए मेक्स एन एंगल अल्फ़ा, सपोजिंगली यहाँ पे एक एंगल अल्फ़ा बना रही है, सपोजिंगली ए वेक्टर ये अल्फ़ा बना रही है, एंड बी विथ बीटा, और ये वाला गामा है. ठीक है, मैं अच्छे से दिखाती हूँ, इसको हटाओ. ये सपोजिंगली एक ए वेक्टर है, ये यहाँ पे अल्फ़ा बना रही है, यहाँ पे बीटा बना रही है, और ये वाला गामा है. तो हम क्या लिख सकते हैं, component of A along positive x axis would be a x, इधर a y और इधर a z, positive x axis बता रही हूँ. So cos alpha can be written as ax by a. Similarly sin is perpendicular by hypotenuse. Cos beta can be written as ay by a, and cos gamma can be written as az by a. देखो इधर कॉस इज बेस बाय हाइपोटेनस, हमें यहाँ पे बेस पता चल गया है, ये इनका बेस है. एक मिनट, ये जो है बेस है, ये बेस हो गया, और फिर ये हाइपोटेनस आ गया. दिस इज द ए वेक्टर. ओके, सो वन थिंग टू नोट इज दैट कॉस स्क्वायर अल्फा प्लस कॉस स्क्वायर बीटा प्लस कॉस स्क्वायर गामा इज इक्वल्स टू 1. बट sin square alpha plus sin square beta plus sin square gamma is equal to 2. Next we have dot product. Now what is dot product? Now cross product also I will explain further, but let's study dot product first. A dot B, you might have heard, is equal to a b cos theta, which theta is the angle between both a and b vector. If theta is 90 degree, cos 90 degree is equal to 0, so a dot b is equals to 0. Now a dot a, very important properties is a dot a vector is equals to a square when theta is equals to 0 degree, because cos 0 degree is equals to 1. A dot b vector is equals to 0 when theta is equals to 90 degree, because cos 90 degree is equals to 0. A dot b plus c vector is equals to a dot b vector plus a dot c vector. Next we have I cap j cap. So I cap into I cap is equals to 1, j cap into j cap is equals to 1, and k cap into k cap is equals to 1. I cap into j cap is equals to I cap into j cap is equals to j cap dot k cap. So see, what you will simply do, just how to remember this sequence. I also had problems in my time. What is that? Is basically remember this sequence, I, j, k, like that. So basically you can write it as I cap into dot j cap is equals to j cap dot k cap, which is equals to k cap dot I cap, and this is equals to 0. So basically I into j, j into k, and k to I is equals to 0. Now supposingly we take an example. A vector अगर दिया है 3i cap plus 4j cap plus 5k cap, okay, and B vector supposingly दिया है 2i cap minus 3j cap minus 4k cap, ठीक है. तो हम a डॉट b कैसे निकालेंगे? देखो 2 3 ज़ा क्या हो जाएगा, 6i कैप, 4 3 ज़ा माइनस 12j कैप, एंड 5 4 ज़ा माइनस 20i कैप. अब इसको हम हटा देंगे ये सबको और सिंपली हम कैलकुलेट कर देंगे. सो ऑन कैलकुलेटिंग वी गेट द आंसर as minus 26. A dot B is AB cos theta, magnitude of component of A along B multiplied by magnitude of component of B. Now supposingly अगर एक वेक्टर है ये एक वेक्टर है A वेक्टर, ठीक है, ये ए वेक्टर है, तो ये कौन सा वेक्टर हो जाएगा? ये जो इसके है ये परपेंडिकुलर है. सो दिस इज बी वेक्टर, दिस इज ए वेक्टर एज यूजुअल, एंड दिस इज बी वेक्टर. सो दिस वेक्टर, द वेक्टर आई हैव ड्रॉन इन रेड कलर, इज ए वेक्टर perpendicular vector to B vector which is equals to A perpendicular vector, and this vector is a parallel vector to B. Very important to note is that a perpendicular vector is equals to a vector itself minus a parallel. So a minus a parallel is equals to a perpendicular vector. अगर a perpendicular वाला component निकालना है, so a में से a parallel minus कर दो. नेक्स्ट वी हैव इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग. सपोजिंगली ए वेक्टर है तो क्या हो जाएगा, ए एक्स आई कैप प्लस ए वाई जे कैप प्लस ए जेड के कैप. सिमिलरली बी वेक्टर का बी एक्स आई कैप, बी वाई जे कैप एंड बी जेड के कैप. सो अगर हम निकालेंगे ए एक्स बाई बी एक्स क्या आ जाएगा, ए वेक्टर ए एक्स बाई बी एक्स किसके इक्वल आ जाएगा, ए वाई बाई बी वाई, ए वाई बाई बी वाई विच इज इक्वल्स टू ए जेड by bz which is equals to n. What is n? This is if n is greater than 0, if this is greater than 0 then a is parallel to b, and if it is less than 0 then a is anti-parallel, to b. Next we have cross product, which is a cross b is equals to c vector which is equals to ab sin theta. The direction that the resultant vector should be perpendicular to both a and b. दो वेक्टर a and b का क्रॉस प्रोडक्ट एक तीसरा वेक्टर c होता है. If theta is 0 degree, we all know, or 180 degrees, and a cross b is equals to 0, parallel or anti-parallel. Okay, next we have a cross b is maximum when theta is 90 degree because sine 90 is 1. Okay, next we have important thing is that I cap cross j cap is equal to I cap cross j cap is equals to k cap. Sequence wise, j cap cross k cap is equals to I cap, and k cap cross I cap is equals to j cap. ठीक है, एक वेक्टर को खुद ही के वेक्टर से अगर क्रॉस करोगे तो उसका रिजल्टेंट ज़ीरो आएगा. ठीक है, पर वहाँ पे ज़ीरो नहीं आ रहा था, वहाँ पे यानी कि डॉट प्रोडक्ट में वन आ रहा था और एक वेक्टर को दूसरे वेक्टर से मल्टीप्लाई करने से ज़ीरो आ रहा था. बट अगर हम यहाँ पे देखें, एक जे कैप क्रॉस आई कैप माइनस के कैप होता है, क्योंकि ये फॉलो नहीं करा, हम आई इंटू जे करते हैं, जे इंटू आई है. सिमिलरली के कैप क्रॉस जे कैप इज इक्वल्स टू माइनस आई कैप, एंड आई कैप क्रॉस के कैप इज इक्वल्स टू माइनस जे कैप. A cross B is never equal to B cross A vector. Okay, A vector cross B vector is equal to minus of B vector cross A vector. ये दोनों सपोजिंगली ये वेक्टर A है और ये वेक्टर B है. सिमिलरली A B प्लस सी वेक्टर, सॉरी, ए क्रॉस बी वेक्टर प्लस सी वेक्टर, ये भी वेक्टर है, तो ये क्या हो जाएगा, ए क्रॉस बी वेक्टर प्लस ए क्रॉस सी वेक्टर. ठीक है, next we have how we actually calculate the dot product by which we use the determinant method, which is basically we write is supposingly a का है axi cap, ay j cap, az k cap, and similarly b का है, so we will write as ax ay az, bx by bz. Okay, what we do, we write this. First of all, we write I cap, which is ay into bz minus az into by. So when we write I cap, we forget this part, this whole part we forget. Okay, then when we write j cap, we forget this whole part. Okay, and when we write k cap, we forget this whole part, and we subtract ax into by minus ay into bx. Okay, supposingly, let me give you an example. Supposingly a vector is equals to 2i cap minus 3j cap, and b vector is equals to 5i cap plus 10j cap. So you have to take out the cross product, which is a cross b. So we'll draw the determinant I cap, j cap, k cap. 2 minus 3, k is not given, so 0 in both, and here it is 5 and 10. So it would become what, I vector we have to write, so it will become minus 3 into 0 minus 0 into 10 I cap. Okay, plus 2 into 0 minus, okay, minus 0 into 5, yeah, 0 into 5 j cap plus 2 into 10 minus, wait, minus, there is no space, so I'm going to write it down. Wait, let me try. Okay, so minus, here it would be minus 3 into 5 k cap. So on solving this whole part would become 0, so it would become 20. This will become 20 plus 15 k cap, which is equals to 35 k cap. So this was the whole revision of vectors, which is a very important chapter. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed the revision, and thank you.